one of the best times to scrutinize your performance is when everything's going perfectly well. Because what you're describing, I am not saying it didn't happen. I can see what the VXX has done in the last, 6 months to a year. You're probably crushing it. The more risk you've been taking, the better your returns have been. But what the smart trader would do is they would put that into the grand scheme and say, well, clearly those types of returns would make me a trillionaire, and nobody has ever achieved that before. So you're not going to be the first one to make 35% every 3 days. That's not going to happen. So now what you need to do is spend some of those profits to start adding layers of risk management before the devastating loss happens. That's why I say now is the right time to look at it and say, okay, that's awesome. I got a lot of cash in my pocket. Maybe it pushed you up very close to that 25K and you can cross over the pattern day trading. That would be fantastic. But the last thing in the world you want to do is wait for what is inevitably going to happen. You can't make that rate of return without taking on an insane risk. And what's going to happen is it's going to bite you really hard. So I'm not saying close out your trades. I'm just saying that now would be a very good time to try to really play devil's advocate on what's going on. Like, what could go wrong? Ask yourself a series of questions. Hey, if the VXX did this, I know a lot of us in our head, we say, oh, that'll never happen. What if it does? Do a stress test of your strategy right now. What would happen? And I would imagine, if you're honest, a little bit of this will be, well, it has been a pretty advantageous period the last 6 months. Perhaps my strategy isn't actually making double digits every few days. I've done the same thing. My VIX option strategy, which is my longest running strategy, I do want to share it in a video course if I can get around to it. But I've showed the live results with my actual broker statements, and I'll do it again in the course that I put together. I launched it in May 2011, and the first 5 months I was up 130%. And I thought I was a genius. Now, the one thing that I did right, I launched it in May. In August, I started stress testing. I was like, come on, this is crazy. This is not going to last. Clearly, I'm doing something that's taking on exceptional risk, and it happens to be paying off. I don't want to lose it all. So then I started looking for ways to manage the risk. And wouldn't you know it, 2011, European debt crisis comes along in August and September, and right in through November, it was a total disaster, right? But I had already stress tested my portfolio before that. I had realized my mistake, and I had actually started to overhedge at the time. So I didn't lose all my money, but I would have. If I kept doing what I did in May, June, July, I would have just blown up my account, right? I was totally exposed and I didn't really see it. Fortunately, like I said, I analyzed my performance when it was going spectacularly well. That's actually a really good thing to do. So I have personal experience with this, hitting a strategy that just, you can't believe how much money you're making. It just doesn't even make sense. You get out that calculator and you think, if I just do this for 3 years, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is insane. When you start getting that feeling, you'd own the entire stock market in a few years. So clearly that's not going to happen. And stress testing during super performance runs is a great way to keep yourself in check and to keep that money. You want to keep those profits you made. So feel free to email me, give me some details on what you're doing. I never tell people any personalized investment advice, but I can look over what you're doing. There's not enough information there, but I'll give it a look. Maybe we'll brainstorm it together.